Zero. Welcome to another CEO Wisdom podcast. We have Scott Newman with us. He's an entrepreneur, sales leader, productivity enthusiast, and he's a partner at Titan Armored System. He's a nonprofit advocate as well. So I guess we're going to talk about all of these topics today. Lived in Mexico just like I did, and back and forth with Mexico and the US, just like I do back and forth in the US and Canada. So we shared a lot in common. Very cool guy altogether. This pod is presented to you by podfire.com. If you want to start your own podcast, if you want to scale and monetize your own podcast, go to podfire.com. It's my podcasting agency and I can help you scale. Scott, welcome to the pod. Tell me a bit more about what you're about nowadays and your background.
Thanks, Charles. Appreciate you having me. And yeah, so like you said, I'm a serial entrepreneur. Love to start companies from scratch, and overall, I'm a visionary. Currently, I'm working on a new project, and the company is Titan Armored. And what we do is we make really nice furniture, specifically dry erase glass boards for classrooms that we've armored. And so, unfortunately, in the state of America, we have a lot of school shootings and a lot of corporate violence. So we came up with a product that was a teaching tool that can be used in a classroom. We have several products, one of which is a dry erase glass board that's on casters. And so it can be used in a classroom, very interactive. But in the case of an active shooter situation, the glass board, the mobile glass board, can be positioned in front of a door, lock the casters, and so it protects students and faculty in the event of a shooting situation. We also have a product that goes in the same classroom that mounts on the wall. So it goes from the floor to about 6 feet tall. It's a glass board, but in the event of a shooting situation, you line the kids up next to it. They're safe, they're secure. So we've created a safe room. And so really the idea behind Titan Armored came from two things. Back in the Mexico days, I had an armored car company. So we armored cars for executives, diplomats, which took me all over the world. And after that, I started a company and we did really nice high-end furniture, elevation concepts. We did sit-to-stand desks, conference tables. So given this, the overall temperature in the U.S. with, again, with school shootings and mental illness, we wanted to come up with a product that could help combine the two, high-end furniture and safety and security. And so that's really where the idea for Titan Armored was born, for lack of better words.
Love that. Let's start with your armored vehicle days. So in Mexico, was it with like the cartels or who were your kind of customers, and yeah, why Mexico?
No cartels. Unfortunately, no cartel. Well, we've got to sell to the good guys. So as you said from the outset, I lived in Mexico for 7 years, worked there a lot. Obviously it was just kind of organic to get into the security space with the armored vehicles. So we worked a lot with expats like myself or like you that were living and working in Mexico. We did a lot of government business and then a lot of companies. Really, that was really where it all started. But the majority of the work that we did was in the Middle East, in Iraq and Afghanistan, North Africa, all over, the continent of Africa, North Africa, Libya specifically before Arab Spring. So, in the armored car world, you're protecting diplomats and expats, doesn't matter where they are. Do a lot of work even and believe it or not, in the United States for VIPs and high net worth individuals.
And yeah, obviously I referred to Mexico, like the
Yeah.
cartels, not as clients, but as people that you would protect from these bad actors. But
Oh yeah.
and the cars, was it like metal plate under to prevent bombs? Was it like the glasses? Was it in the doors? So what did you armored precisely?
Everything. So, depending on the threat level, let's just take a Toyota Land Cruiser, which is super popular to armor. We would do like you say, we get the car brand new, we take everything out of it, and we literally put in ballistic glass in the windshield, all the windows. We do the roof, we do the floor. You do the floor of the vehicle if you're, potentially could be exposed to grenades, which is something that would be necessary in, in places in war, in places of theater combat. We do all the doors. And then the protection levels range from handgun protection up to armor piercing bullets. So depending on the threat, and you referenced the Mexican cartels. The Mexican cartels are they outgun most law enforcement officers. So you're trying to protect a high net worth individual in Mexico. You need something that's going to stop all the weapons that the cartels possess, and they have everything.
Right. Was your technology ever put to the test back then?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think that what's the most really kind of somber moment is when you see somebody that was in one of your vehicles that finds you and says, "Hey, look, your product saved my life, and I'm alive today because of what you built." So I know that there's a lot of vanity associated with an armored car, but at its function, if somebody comes under attack or under gunfire, you're the number one responsibility is to get them out of harm's way until the first responders can get there and save their life. And yeah, it's just unfortunate. It's a cold hard fact of reality.
Now, how do you split your time nowadays between Titan and Elevation?
Really and truly, it's you have a great team around you. Obviously I'm more of a visionary, so for me it's important to have the right person in the right seat. So I have really good implementers that can help us develop good products and then get good products to market. So really and truly, we run really lean and just open and transparent communication. Those really are the core principles of how I run my businesses.
I guess it's more time on Titan nowadays that you spend with sales. Are you raising money for that one, or is it fully bootstrapped?
A little bit of both, it's bootstrapped right now because we're just coming out of the gates. But yeah, I mean, we have the right opportunity to take private equity money all day long, just because there's so much of a need for it. Just specifically here in Texas, we just passed a bill that provided $1.6 billion of funding just to secure our schools in K through 12. Which is I mean, it's great that the money's been passed, but it's sad that we have to spend so much money to secure our schools so that our kids can go every day and, and receive an education. So for me, I'm putting a lot of time and effort into this. And so, with this products that we have, they're proprietary and it's, first to market wins.
Now, you started Titan in 2022. When did you first realize that there was this problem of shootings in the States and that you needed to do something about it?
I think it's always been there, and it's that the idea for Titan has been with me really since I started Elevation Concepts about 6 years ago. It's just that I think Uvalde, because it was in Texas, it hit so close to home because for one reason or another, you know, too many innocent lives, too many innocent children lost their lives because it took too long. And then I started to really think about, okay, how could we create a product that could buy time, that could potentially help, save people until the first responders can get there and then go and then neutralize the active shooter. And that's when I started really thinking about this and then started really kind of playing with different ideas of how can you take the ideas from an armored car and have it discreet to where nobody knows that it's armored, and then integrate that into the classroom to where your kids can go. They're using a mobile dry erase glass board that they just think is a mobile as a marker board. They don't know that it's bulletproof, and something that just combines both to where in the event it's there, lock it into place and then wait until the first responders can come. That's really, but Uvalde, I think for me was that moment to where I was like, something needs to be done. We need to be, and I have expertise in this space. We need to be having a deeper conversation with the first responders, with the educators, with the architects, and the construction companies that are building these schools.
And from my understanding, the teachers cannot neutralize the active shooters. Can't they have access to a gun or something?
A lot of that depends on the school district and the municipality. There's certain laws in place versus public schools and private schools. Some school districts have an armed, police officer that represents the school district, or they contract guards. So it's not a one size fits all. But in some districts, to your point, yeah, they do have school teachers that that have their gun permit to carry a handgun on campus.
Interesting. Okay, so the dynamic is that there's a security guard in most schools, I guess, in the US nowadays. So let's say that the shooter bypasses that and the security guard sounds the alert, right? He signals that there's an active shooters. What happens then? Isn't there like some locking mechanisms of doors in classrooms with like armored glass so that the shooters cannot enter the classes? How does that work?
Well, yes and no. In some cases, in most cases, there is no armor protection. There might be, on the exterior windows of the school, there might be like a film, but it's not going to stop a bullet. It's going to slow you down, but you can still get in. But once, let's just say the active shooter gets in the classroom or into the school, they know most oftentimes they know where they're going. They have a list of either the teacher or the students. They know where they are at what time. They're going to go right there. And so that's where we come in. And so our products are designed to literally, if the door's locked, to go behind the door in the classroom to where they can't see in. And if they want to start trying to shoot through the door, okay, they've got to go through the door for starters, but then they're not going to go through our product. Our product will defeat any assault weapon sold legally in the US. And so again, what we want to do is we want to buy time for the first responders to get there. Okay, period, end of story. We want to frustrate that person to where once adrenaline takes over, now they're scatterbrained, and then they can, then once the first responders come, they can take out the shooter. And again, and the goal is zero loss of life. But once somebody can get in the school with a gun, they can do a lot, And so the great thing about our products too is they can be designed to where they're barricades in hallways. So we have a lot of different things that we can do with our product.
Why do you think that is so prevalent in the US, the mass shootings problem? I heard you say mental health, Why is like the greatest country, quote unquote, is facing this problem? Is it like, for example, cancer that once you reach a long life expectancy and everything is doing fine and you're really privileged, then this ugly creature shows up at some point to kind of equilibrate the whole thing? Like, why is there that problem in the US?
I think a lot of people have a lot of different opinions, which I try to stay out of the fray. Honestly, I try to create a product that's apolitical, whether you're pro guns or you're against guns. I would say this is as a father of two young girls, as a parent, you want your kids to go to school and to be able to learn and to study and come home every day, not have to even have this conversation. I would say as a parent, I think that to me, I think it goes back to a breakdown. I think in a traditional household, I call it, in kids, do they know right and wrong? They play video games that they're killing things from, a young age on video games. And is there really a moral compass? I mean, there's a lot of different questions we should ask. I think mental health plays a big component in this. I think that, a lot of the warning signs sometimes are overlooked. But it always seems that when there is a school shooting and 20, 30 kids lose their lives, then all of a sudden it's a gun issue. And then all of a sudden it's the gun's fault. But I think that I think we have to address these warning signs a lot earlier than by the time that they actually get their hands on a gun. Um, that's just me personally, and you talk to a lot of different people that have a lot of different opinions. I mean, I think I think it's horrible that we're having this conversation about creating a product that protects kids' life in the event of an active shooter. But it seems like even since Columbine, way back when. How long has that been since that first mass school shooting? It seems like, there's school shootings every year. And, now they're happening in houses of worship. They're happening in private schools. So it's not just limited to one school district. And it's not limited to any socioeconomic, um, area. They happen everywhere, and it seems oftentimes they happen in more affluent areas. So there's a lot of dynamics that I can't put my finger on, which I think are worth exploring for sure.
Right. The mental health part, is it like because people are constantly comparing themselves one to another? This guy has it all, or yeah, it's a really tough question, right? And then
Yeah.
yeah, I can't help but to think that with everything that's happening nowadays with Russia and all of that, like that these countries are trying to destabilize the general equilibrium. And I mean, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but for example, my YouTube videos nowadays, they always get like these odd comments of like and they look like they're done from bots, like
Hmm.
hey, your video has like 2 views, you're an idiot or something like that. Um and it gets me wondering sometimes if these countries are just simply trying to constantly destabilize like mental health and create adversity, create anger and conflict. Wouldn't surprise me with like everything that's been exposed with secret services. Anyway, another conversation for another day.
Yeah.
The economics of your business. How much clients do you have right now? Do you market to school districts? Like, what's your sales strategy here?
Yeah, I mean, great question. Again, I mean, we market and we target, architects that are designing the schools, obviously construction companies that specialize in the K through 12, and then even the municipalities that are passing bond elections. Now specifically in the state of Texas, municipalities are passing bond elections, and rolled up in those bond elections is money for school security. And so, we work with a company in particular, and they help municipalities pass bond elections. So we want to be able to be, we have a great go-to market. It's an easy product to develop and deploy. It's just a matter of reaching the right people. And then right now we're focused on Texas, but our capabilities are, any municipality in America, any school district, any private school, house of worship. And really the next phase of us too is to, government buildings as well. And there's, there is a need in the commercial side, in corporate spaces as well. But we're really focusing primarily on the K through 12 and even higher education and universities, which we've seen an uptick in shootings on campuses in the past couple of years.
How can these things cost, like at the desk that you turn around, for example, is it like a $5,000 product? Like what are the economics?
No, on a mobile glass board, our entry level product is $4,500, which is really fair market price compared to, a non-armored mobile glass board. So we want to be affordable, but we also want to deliver a world-class product. So again, we want to try to meet any budget that we possibly can, based on the threat and what they're trying to accomplish.
And you provide training, like, because it's about flipping that thing over the door, like,
No, no, it's not flipping in front of the door. Like the mobile glass board, literally, it just moves on casters. The average teacher can move it. It's not that it's not heavy. The way that it's designed is it's nimble and it's easy to move, and it's position lock the casters. So nothing needs to be tipped over, nothing like that. I mean, this product just can be deployed into action in less than 30 seconds. Um, on I think you were alluding to our height adjustable desk. Yeah, we can armor those as well, and they can be tipped over. But this product that we have, the mobile glass board, is a lot better. It's a lot more nimble. It's designed to be deployed in a moment's notice. when people, when they go into lockdown, what we want is we don't want people to be on adrenaline and not know what to do and freeze. It's just something that's just super simple, easy to deploy, lock it, and then get those kids against a wall and out of any potential area that could, from gunfire.
And the board, it's like a board on the wall. What happens when there's an active shooter? You just get behind it, or
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so the way that it is, depending on how it's deployed, the glass boards can be installed from the floor up to, let's say, 6 feet, depending on how tall you want. And again, if somebody, and then that would back up to a hallway. So if they were going to try to shoot through that wall, it's got to go through the wall, and then B, when it hits the ballistic panel, nothing's going to happen. It will defeat it. So it's, in essence, you've created a safe room in the classroom, period.
Right. Okay. So you sell many of those per school. You sell in average like 10, or is it smaller orders for people to try these before they deploy at scale?
No, I mean, we'll sell, individual orders. But the average school has around 30 classrooms. So, on average about 30. And then a lot of it just depends on what they want, and based on what their needs are. So there can be more. Um, but again, yeah, I mean, if a house of worship just has 5 classrooms or maybe only a couple of doors, we'll sell 5, we'll sell 1. We really don't care.
Interesting. These folks, you reach out to them via calls, cold email, and what are the titles of these decision makers?
Well, as I said, we really target architecture firms, so the specifiers, people that are actually responsible, the project architects that are drawing the schools, um, the construction companies, the companies that are in charge of building the schools, the furniture dealers. So if we're spec'd on a project, obviously the furniture dealers are going to bid on that, and then of course they'll call Titan Armored. Really, we're lucky because we're niche. It's one of a kind, and also too, it's the quality of the materials. I think that, in the education space, they should get the best materials. On our dry erase glasses, it's excellent quality, custom colors available, custom logos for the schools. They're interactive. They look good. So we want to make sure that the kids and the schools have the best possible products at the best possible price. Just so happens that ours happen to be bullet resistant.
Very cool. So what are your top objectives for this year?
Really just to scale and grow, and to really be the go-to. So when people think school safety and they think school security, I want them to think about Titan Armored. I want to be top of mind, and to have that conversation with as many people as I humanly can. I'm a visionary, but the more people that know about our products, the better. So I mean, again, I'm super excited that we connected on this and share so much with our Mexico background, but to be able to tell the story and the vision and what we're looking to do.
Where can people find out more about you, Scott?
Our website is titan-armored.com. We're on social media, but again, titan-armored.com, and LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn, but go to our website, and fill out a request to quote, and we could schedule a needs analysis.